Here's how. I don't get it. How did this game sell 6 million copies of mostly fake, false advertisements? Palworld is basically the new No Man's Sky. This game is like nothing Pokemon whatsoever, and it's only, it has to only be selling on its name alone. The only thing it actually shares with Pokemon, except the obvious plagiarism of all the monsters and so on, is that yes, you capture monsters, just like in Dragon Quest V. Pokemon didn't invent that, and you also have, of course, Dragon Monster Warrior and so on. But my point is rather that, no, the gameplay of Palworld is completely different than Pokemon. This game has to be the biggest, like, selling, advertising trick something since the history of gaming, seriously. Because the game is nothing like Pokemon. I do say, though, I hope it's the game. I like playing the game, but this video I just want to address and also cover how this game is not like Pokemon, and it doesn't make much sense, and it's so good, and it's just like, my god, it is such, it has to be sort of bandwagon, like, oh yeah, it's Pokemon. Also, before we get into it, guys, let me say this though, I hope this makes Nintendo and Gamefreak, which you know I internally truly hate Gamefreak, hoping they're gonna make a better actual Pokemon game, right? Because obviously Pokemon is incredibly buggy and so on. So is Palworld though, so that's how it's authentic a game Pokemon freak experience. Anyways, let's get into it. Pikachu into a machine gun, best game this ever. Of course. Yes, you can make a Pokemon can have a gun or something. It's amazing. I don't get it, okay? I don't get it. This game has to be selling only on pure name recognition alone, right? And I don't say that again because I hate this game at all. I actually quite like it, right? But I think it's very important for some reason. No, but I'll be negative. No, but I think it's like, but the game is nothing like Pokemon. Not at all. From an actual gameplay aspect, it is nothing like Pokemon. And I've seen people say it's more like Ark or whatever. Actually, it's more like a survival game. People call it Arkmon, and then people call it Digimon because they have guns and so on. It's more like Digimon. But I think it's very interesting because it's from like a marketing standpoint, scam, plagiarism, all this fun and nine people throw out there, right? This game genuinely is nothing like Pokemon. The only thing it shares Pokemon, of course, is the actual capturing, the enemies, right? So you can throw a Pokeball and wait, did the update change anything? What? Did the update change how to throw a Pokeball? There we go. What? Did the update change how I throw a Pokeball? My god. Honestly, that wasn't purpose. They have changed the input how to Pokeballs. This is what I mean. I think the game has insanely bad UX design. The game is genuinely really bad in a lot of aspects. General sense, looks like Pokemon, right? Because all the monsters are straight up plagiarized Pokemon, which is very true. And that people denying that are living in delusional ground, whatever, right? Because the thing is that, yes, of course, other games, but later more, but other games have other, capturing monsters or whatnot, right? People compare say, oh, but look at Pokemon, they copied Dragon Quest, whatever. They did not really. Yes, there's a snake there, whatever, right? But in this game, it really is like plagiarism from Pokemon. It truly is, because you basically have 50 pals, right, which are literally basically trace of Pokemon, and they've changed them from red to green or something. Like some of the monsters are almost exactly like the monsters in Pokemon. I think some of them are almost is exactly, because they've changed their color or whatever. So no, it is a quite a difference between that and, for example, Pokemon into like Dragon Quest, where the thing has just like, it's the same animal, right? But they don't actually look the same, and it's like, of course, most video games will probably have like a snake monster or something, right? So no, that's a very different thing. And also have, of course, the cell like glider for that matter. But for example, now I'm gonna lose out here, right, because of cold. I can't make it back to my base or whatever. And obviously, this is not a game feature from Pokemon. I just mean like, what is Pokemon in this game except the actual just capture Pokemons, right? And that comes back to that I just can't see this game being sold on actual merits, right? And that doesn't mean that this game is bad per se. I'm just saying that everyone is buying it on people's notion that is like, oh yeah, this game is like Pokemon, which it really isn't, right? And because the game is very hyped now, I do find it interesting because I'm honestly, leave a comment below. Tell me what you guys think, because I assume it is selling because people are saying, oh, this is great, and they tell their friends, right? And then they're selling this game to their friends on, oh, this is like Pokemon, right? It has to be it, right, you know? Oh, right, Mimikyu. It has to be Pokemon, right? I just can't see it otherwise. Same thing for me, right? My friends told me about this game when it was out, and I'm playing it since then, right? So again, I like the game, yes, speaking. They sold me on that, oh yeah, this is like Pokemon. You like Pokemon, right? Let's try this game, is great. It's like a real, new Pokemon game. Okay, let's try it. But it isn't, right? Doesn't mean that the game in itself is necessarily bad, but it doesn't mean it's good either for that matter. It just means something else. But I think it's very much being sold purely on the notion that, okay, it's Pokemon, and then you can transform it Pikachu into a machine gun, right? It's like that it. But I do find it very fascinating, and you keep seeing it, and now it feels like its own virality, I guess, right? Because now it feels like everyone and their mother is talking about it. So now it's like exploding, and everyone's making their builds, and I'm making a video about it again, I suppose. I made my review earlier, and like I said in that review, I mean, I liked it. The game has had potential, but I don't see it as a very good game in any aspect because it's very, very buggy. The UI design is terrible, and so on, right? So I don't think the game is very good, but I think it's good enough. Genuinely, and I really mean this thing, I like the game. I keep saying, I know, but I like the game. But my plan is to play this game as much as I can until basically, like a Dragon comes out this Friday. Then I'm gonna stop playing this game. The game that's like one of my favorite games of all time. So again, the game is fun, but I don't see myself playing it over, any other game that I'm actually gonna enjoy more, right? And that's what it's for Pokemon. Pokemon I enjoy a lot more than this game. So I do think that's very fair to say too. That no, I think this game is incredibly. But I wouldn't say this game itself is scamming people. It's more like people are scamming people or something. That's why I kind of find it fascinating, because this game to me is fun, right? But it isn't like 10 out of 10 fun. And I'm a huge Pokemon fan. It might sound biased with it, but I like Pokemon because I like the gameplay. I used to compete in Pokemon PvP, right? Tournament, very, very hardcore in the last game, especially Sun and Moon and so on, and also in the first games. Played Pokemon PvP for many, many years, multiplayer. And this game doesn't even have that, right? It doesn't even have that. What actually makes Pokemon, for me mostly, is the actual, making your team, right? Having your 6 Pokemons, thinking about types and passives and double types, and then combining that, right, into different, and they have a strategy game, it's turn-based, and you and me have the tricks over. This game is not in that. It doesn't have what is the core gameplay of Pokemon, making the ultimate team and becoming the strongest ever is. This game doesn't have it for a second, right? For a second. It doesn't have the actual Pokemon gameplay. Because first of all, the fights in this game, the combat is terrible, okay? If there's anything, that's one of the game's weakest spot, is the actual combat. It's very flimsy, it's very buggy, the pathing is terrible, there's so many bugs, blah blah blah. I don't say that to be, oh, I hate this game. That's not my point. My point is that because the game is real time, this is actually a much more higher requirement. Because the normal Pokemon is terribly coded. You know how much I dislike Gamefreak. I've said it for years. I made a video that was like 4 hours long where I complained about Gamefreak for like 4 hours, okay? So I'm not a Gamefreak fan per se. I'm a Pokemon fan, I'm not a Gamefreak fan. So I have, been very critical of them. But the thing is that, for better or worse to speak, right, their games is turn-based. Because Pokemon is turn-based, I would say it's easier to not make bugs or whatever. This game here is real-time. So all the, like the pathing issues or weird button inputs, or sometimes you get stuck in your attack animation and then you can swing your weapon, and it's all this weird stuff. This is very noticeable in this game, and I do find it funny because I guess my point is that I really mean this thing is that people are so incredibly hungry, I guess, right, for a good Pokemon game. Because again, even though I like Violet and Scarlet, I'm obviously agreeing that those games are incredibly buggy, right? Incredibly badly developed. I agree with 100%. So people are so hungry for that, because I do feel that people are though making incredible many excuses for this game. This game to me is an incredible bandwagon thing, and that's what I mean. I think people are scamming other people in a way. So this video might be weird. This is my thoughts here as like game developer and human researcher or whatever, right? But I do find it interesting because I really do find that this game isn't necessarily that the developer is scamming people. It's much more that the people are scamming other people. The players or scamming or lying or whatever, or at least embezzling the truth, right? To other people, telling them this is better than Pokemon, it's real time, it's amazing, and so on, or it has no bugs or whatever. Because every time I talk to any of my friends, I was like, oh, well, it's not bad, it's not that bad. But it might be, like I said, right? People are so defensive of this game because people like Pokemon, but everyone knows that Pokemon, like I said, is so badly developed, right? Everyone's like dreaming of a better Pokemon game. Now, to be fair, of course, there are many other monster games, because the Monster one, and it usually seen as Dragon Quest being the first one. And I am a big fan of this game, actually, next to me here, Dragon Quest or Dragon Warrior Monsters, then, which is a game I played a lot as a kid. Love this game, and also like the Joker games. And honestly, I would argue that Dragon Warrior Monster is a better game than Pokemon Blue and Red. So this is like the first Game Boy Dragon Warrior Joker Monster capture game versus Pokemon. I think it is actually a better game. It had better mechanics like this kind of breeding system and how to get the best monsters like the white thing and so on. It was much interesting how to get the strongest dragon and the gold slime and so on. It had actually a much better system, especially in that way. And then you have 3 against 3, the more classic RPG fighting instead, which kind of made it worse though. So in one way, it was actually much better. How to acquire the monsters in that game is better, but how they actually fighting is better in Pokemon because you have the 6 against 6 strike and a different one and so on. So for better or worse, it has some much better parts, some worse parts. Right? But the point is that yes, there have always been many of these other capture monster games. We have Legend of Mana had that very heavily in the 4th second game. So that's Legend of Mana in US. We have FF13 with Sarah. We have monsters and so on. So it's nothing new, of course, and that's true. You can't say that the game has coped with Pokemon because it has taken the Tamer thing. No. But what this game has done, though, again, it's pointed out from the player standpoint, is that it's taken basically exactly, almost like frame by frame Pokemon models and figures and taken into the game. And honestly, this game might lose in court, right? I don't want to go into that too much. I used to work with copyright and so on at Disney many years ago. That's not the video, but I already read before this video that Nintendo is suing one guy doing that Pokemon mod thing, right? It's interesting. Honestly, I'm not gonna say they're losing court, but this game, the models are probably too close, and maybe there has been cases people have lost this thing in court, similar cases. It's hard to say because obviously, again, in the game's defense, but also in my argument, right, this game is nothing like Pokemon from an actual gameplay standpoint. I keep saying it. Nothing whatsoever. So it's like, okay, I have taken Mimikyu, but I put Mimikyu in a completely, as like a card, he's racing a Mario Kart or something. I mean, like it's like a very different thing, but it still is exactly the Mimikyu, but it's black now instead of white, whatever. Yeah, it's like it's that kind of weird thing. Like I inverse the colors or something, but it's like yeah. So it is definitely on the edge. I mean, of course, the game is very similar to Pokemon, but again, like I said. And many other monster games too, that when it comes, of course, capturing and having a party. But the thing is that because nothing in this party or actual gameplay is like Pokemon, I keep saying it, but it really isn't, right? Just because you have a party of monsters, which again then, you have in Dragon Quest and Mana and so on, right? So we can't say that is not Pokemon per se. Pokemon isn't just capturing different types of monsters, right? That is not how you actually define Pokemon. You have to have everything else, the trainer battles, the gyms, and so on, right? This game doesn't have that really. It has like the Syndicate Towers, but it's not really like gym battles. Don't have any trainers. One thing actually is very strange in this game, seriously, is that you have the Syndicate, right? Which are obviously Team Rocket inspired, of course they are. But they fight you with their weapons, right? They have a little bit monsters in the cages. But honestly, like this game, I feel very, very flawed even in that. Like, why don't they have their own paths for? Why don't they have, if you go up to their syndicates, they're like the bandit camps. They should have like 10 different paths and throw at you instead of like shooting at you with weapons. Yeah, it's really strange in that, honestly. But I hope you have my point right. Is that I don't hate the game, but I do find it honestly very fascinating how people keep defending it and in some weird way, scamming themselves right to loving it or something. I don't know. I mean, I do find this game to be obviously the most overhyped game ever. No, but it is clearly very overhyped, and I think the evidence is that it's not even the game itself in a way, like scamming or like branding it to people as a best Pokemon game. I think it's people doing it to other people. You know what I mean? It's the weird grassroots movement of lying, AstroTurf movement. That being said, though, from the beginning, though, obviously this game developer has sold the game purely on, oh, this is Pokemon, but they have this thing, as I mentioned earlier, and that is very true. And it comes back to my conclusion that, yeah, but it is really like the best scam-ish false advertisement ever in history, right? Because, yeah, sure, the only thing it has Pokemon is these things, but nothing of these things really matters. They have their abilities, but you can't really control what they're doing. You don't actually fight other types that much, right? Like I said, I think that's like a big issue of the game, honestly. You should have way more, actual Pokemon duel fights, trainer fights, right? And if anything, isn't that sad? And I really mean it. This game makes me sad in one way because, like I said, people are clearly want this game to be better than Pokemon, right? But for me, what I want to have, perhaps I'm insulted with that thing then, but what I want to have, right, is something like an open world game Pokemon, which obviously they tried a little bit, I know, but, not very good try there. And more per year, I guess, would be the best thing. But, like, Pokemon, and then you have actual trainer battles. Of course, you need to have Pokemon you can capture or whatever, but I think the majority you should find should actually be trainer battles. And one thing I decided this game heavily is the whole grinding, right? This game is very, very grindy. You're going to get to stone, woods, then of course you get your farm, I know, but majority of this game is very grindy. It's like capture the same Pokemon 10 times, right? I would much rather have that you have 3 Pokemons, and instead of meeting random Pokemons everywhere, you would meet random trainers, right? And you would have good, hard battles, probably hard, but it's like challenging battles, right? And by beating a few of those trainers, you could get the gear, the loot you need, right? I'd rather have basically 3 trainer fights than 30 capture the same Pokemon 30 times, right? Terrible design in that sense. So, I don't know. For me, it isn't the green game whatsoever, but I can really see that people are, of course, excited for something. But it isn't Pokemon at all. I don't keep saying it, but it really isn't. But anyway, if you like the video, press the like button and subscribe. But